All right, I am Cassandra, and this is Trans and Heathen. Okay, so part two for my transgender story. How was that? Okay, so I kind of went on a lot of tangents last episode, but I kind of had to cover a lot of different details that happened over the course of my life. That was kind of like the big broad. Here's between age 0 and age 30 when I decided to transition. It was just the best summary I could of it. Well, I probably could have done better. If I excluded a lot of my ums and ahs, I probably could have had that under 15 minutes, but it didn't. It didn't happen. It broke in a little over 20 minutes. I might see about editing some of that out, but we will see. Either way, continuing on, after seeing that initial therapist, I kind of had a little more regret. I felt better, but it wasn't perfect, and I got an itch. Amazing. Still knew something was wrong, and I think at this time is kind of when I started more and more realizing that I wasn't just attracted to women. And that was probably a key component here. And again, yes, you can be bisexual and not be trans. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that these were all the pieces that were building up. And but yeah, so this was between here and between the time, this was between 2013 and 2015. And 2015 is when I decided to transition. Um, it was a I actually met quite a few trans people all online. I didn't. Well, there was Razzie at work, but nobody really knows what Razzie's just Razzie. Hi Razzie, if you're watching. Anyways, um, but they were great. But like even then, when I would hear their stories, like I would say like, no, that's not me. They had this and they had that, and I was still really heavily buying to the narrative that there was this singular trans narrative where you're just born like you are upset, you just know deep down, and you just knew at every facet of your life. And then the more and more I learned about it, the more I realized that dysphoria is a very subtle thing. It isn't, or it can be rather. I know for some people it hits them like a truck, but for some people it's something that just truly creeps up on you. And sometimes in ways you didn't know. Like there were times growing up I hated the way I looked. I didn't like having the beard. I had it because it kind of became part of my personality, this personality I had crafted. This ultra masculine, heavy metal dude that's looked like Thor and could drink all these beers and would go to the gym and get swole, and that was just me. And that wasn't me. And that was someone else. That was just an image I was projecting. But oh jeez, I lost my train of thought. But kind of as I continued on with that, like oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. But yeah, like it wasn't just like my body image. I would have dreams where I was a girl, and sometimes like, well, maybe those are just dreams. Every guy has them. That's true. I had them a lot. I often thought about being female. Whenever I created characters in my games, they were always female, and it wasn't like some weird, like you hear some guys say, well, I play female characters because I like looking at a butt, and it wasn't really like that for me. For me, it really felt like this was my avatar, and I just didn't, it just never really truly occurred to me, probably because I didn't want it to, that this was a sign that something needed to change. But even as it kind of went on, like when the thoughts started occurring a little bit more often, like, well, maybe are you trans? And I would stop because, like, well, one, no, I didn't have this traditional story, like I already said, or I'd be like, well, you're never gonna pass. And it's like, and I guess I don't. I'm kind of heavy set, but I'm not looking too good. I don't have my makeup on today like I did last time. It's just me makeupless. You can kind of see my 5 o'clock shadow, but it's more complicated than that. It's not. You don't. There are so many amazing trans people out there who don't pass, and I'm trying not gonna bring up passing too much because it is kind of becoming a little more of a taboo in the trans community. I'm just kind of bringing it up because this was a thought that went through my brain back, a couple years ago. It was just my excuse. It was transphobic. It was dumb, but it is what it was. It was exactly that. It was internalized transphobia, and I had to kind of shed that in order for it to to finally, kind of really dawn on me. But the problem was, even with that, like I couldn't hold it at this point. Like, and then one really really boring. I remember I was living in this little house, not just down the street from my parents in Arkansas. It was a tiny little 2-bedroom house. I paid like $300 a month for it. It wasn't great, but it was cheap and it was mine. So, and I think I was lying on the couch. And I remember I was lying on the couch because I had the AC in the living room, and was that why was it? Because I could have sworn this was like in November, but it's still kind of hot in November in Arkansas. So I think it might have just been kind of warm, and I think I had the AC on, and that's why I was there. And instead of my room, because I didn't have the AC in my room, but my computer and everything was in the living room. So, explaining things. Either way, I was on my phone. I was looking at some just on Facebook. It just like every day for the last couple of years. Get on my smartphone, get on Facebook, check my stuff. That's what I do. But either way, I remember coming across this article, which was ironically shared by a conservative outlet that I was following for some reason. I think I used to be more conservative when I was younger. I was actually really reactionary during that really bad period of my life. So, and I've been on Facebook since the bad period of my life. So I have a lot of pages I follow that I don't necessarily agree with anymore. I kind of keep them on there because I still like to kind of laugh at some of the stupid things they post. And this one was kind of weird just because they were a little confused. But anyways, they posted this article that contained a video about a transgender woman who goes by the name of, I think, I'm going to butcher this, it's Sona Avedian. You might have heard of her. Her story was that of where she was originally, she went from being this kind of burly, bearded former Marine, which resonated with me so freaking hard. And she transitioned very well, and it kind of killed my the whole you're never gonna present, you're never gonna pass. It's like, this is your last excuse. It's gone. You have to let it go. And she inspired me quite a bit, and I know she still has a YouTube channel. I might actually bring up a photo of her before and after, so you can kind of see what I saw. And if you see some of my before and afters, they're pretty dramatic. I've kind of stumbled a little bit. I've gained a lot of weight. I need to kind of work on my self-image. And no, I'm not fat shaming. I'm just saying I don't like the way I'm looking right now, and it's just something I want to do for myself. But between estrogen and getting older, and I had a job where they gave me a credit card for $50 worth of food freaking every day. I took advantage of that. I took advantage of that so hard. And it was just like, at this point I had to do something. I knew that, oh my god, this is like the first real intense dysphoria I had ever felt in my life. It just hit me like a train for the first time, where it wasn't just I feel bad about something about myself, but it's not being trans. It's just I just feel bad about something. I just don't like it or whatever. This was like, yeah, no, this is dysphoria, guys. But I had to go look for a therapist, which was not easy in Southwest Arkansas, by the way. I don't know how many of you have ever been to Southwest Arkansas. I'm from this little city called DeQueen, Arkansas, which is about 7,000 people. It's the biggest city in the county. Actually, one of the biggest cities in like that whole area right there. It's kind of sad, and it's notable for being the birthplace of C-list superstar Colin Ray, who made 2 or 3 country hits in the early '90s, and nobody has given a shit since, except for DeQueen, where they have a festival in his name every year because it's literally all they have. And I would kind of make it a joke with my YouTube channel on Pokemon. As small as it is, I like to bill myself as the second most famous person from DeQueen, because I kind of am. But either way, I had to go look for a therapist. There were none in that area. I actually had to drive three and a half hours from DeQueen to Plano, Texas, which is like a little suburb of Dallas. That's a pretty big drive, and the fact that I had to go to Texas for treatment should say something about the state of transgender treatment in Arkansas. And but I mean, it was good. I met a therapist. We talked for a while, and she was positive about it. Um, but it was an experience because it was when I started seeing her, I found out that some insurance companies had this thing called an exception, where they wouldn't treat anything related to transition, and that included therapy, which sucked because I had to start paying her out of cash. Fortunately, she did a sliding scale, but it was still like $80 a session, and I was only making like $11.50 an hour at the time. That was just so much money, and then I had to drive. The cost of driving, it was just really bad, and it sucked. Like, fortunately, I was getting a lot of overtime at the time, but it was a pain in the butt, and and especially like when I went to finally I got diagnosed with gender dysphoria, got my note to go start HRT. I had to pay when I went to the doctor. It wasn't even that bad, but it was. I think she charged $175 for the visit, $75 for the blood work, so $250 for the blood work, and then my pills, because my insurance wouldn't cover it. I think it came to about $60 a month, which was pretty bad, which was awful, and I don't understand why they do that, But in case you're curious, you know, who would do this? Well, Pilgrim's Pride, a subsidiary of JBS Corporation, refuses to cover anything related to transition. That's right, Pilgrim's Pride, who are owned by JBS, will not cover trans health care, and that was not a call out at all. I'm just stating the facts, guys. This is just what people do, right? That's what people do when they do vlogs, and just tell the facts, just tell the truth, right? And JBS Corporation, who owns Pilgrim's Pride, will not cover trans health care. They will rather let you die. So, fortunately, now that I live in Illinois, a state that is civilized, they won't let them do that. But I'm quite happy. Anyways, like I said, a lot of money driving to Plano was just a lot. Anyway, so wow, this has been a whole lot, but the end goal of me transitioning has been has resulted in me coming to Chicago. What happened here was, one of the funniest things, when I finally decided to transition, one of my friends, I was so stressed out too about it, because you don't even understand the kind of freak outs I was at the time. It was like all eyes were on me, everyone just kind of knew. And as it turns out, a whole bunch of people after I came out were like, no, we figured something was wrong with you. But I needed someone to talk to, and then in a Skype group I was with a bunch of friends. It was just a bunch of people I've met over the years over the internet, and we'd just get together for Skype calls and games and stuff like that. He came out as female to male, or assigned female at birth, trans man, and he was the person I was thinking of going to in the first place. I was like, oh my god, wow, what a convenience. And when I opened that, I messaged him later that night saying, hey, I have something I want to talk about. He was kind of busy. I think he had tacos, which was pretty exciting. I mean, I always get excited when I hear about tacos. It's one of my favorite subjects. But he said, well, I'll talk to you tomorrow. And I think the next day was it was a weekend, because I remember I was going to Texarkana with friends. Oh my god, I'm just saying going to Texarkana, because it's such a thing over there in Southwest Arkansas that people just say casually, that the rest of the world doesn't understand. Texarkana was the biggest major city to where we were. It was a city that's half in Arkansas, half in Texas, and it's just a place where you went because it had the movie theater, it had the mall, it had all the stuff, and that's just where you went if you wanted to have fun in Southwest Arkansas, because there was nothing, literally nothing. Only other movie theater area was the little 4-screen thing up in Mena. That was about it. So either way, oh god, my face is gross. All right, but yeah, so I remember telling him about this, and I remember him kind of having a little mini meltdown, he couldn't believe it, and because we were both kind of on the overcompensation side of things pretty heavily, but he encouraged me that I needed to leave Arkansas, and he was right, but it took me a while. In fact, I didn't move to Chicago until 2017 after, I'm not going to put it, in late 2016, I overdosed and ended up in mental health clinic for a little while. And after that, I knew I had to change, and I knew I had to change things in order to feel better. I never regretted transitioning one bit, but I knew in order to be trans, I couldn't be trans in Southwest Arkansas anymore. I couldn't be, the one in the. It was not that small of a place, but I was the only one. There was no support for me. People looked at me differently because everyone knew. And I couldn't deal with that anymore. And Chicago, with all its problems, is a place where I disappear. Nobody knows who I am. I can walk down the street. I can be in full makeup. I could be looking like really grungy and still only halfway trying, and no one bats an eye out here. And for some people, maybe that's weird to you, but I don't want to be noticed. And that was really good. So I think what was I got my taxes. I found a sublet for 30 days, which only left me 30 days to find a new place, which was rough, but I did, which is this place. And I think I mentioned that. If you follow me on my Pokemon channel, I mentioned that in one of those videos. But it was worth it. I got a good job, which unfortunately only lasted 6 months, but now I got another good job, which is great. I'm doing better. I'm living on my own for the first time in my life. And the first time in my life, I feel like I'm living my own life. I'm not living the life that other people wanted me to live. I'm not trying to force myself into a certain paradigm that isn't for me. I didn't want to live in this house. I am perfectly happy living in an apartment in the city with my stupid little knickknacks that I enjoy. I didn't want this big family. It just was never ever supposed to be for me. And I don't think it has to be for everyone. And it's okay if that's not for you. And I kind of rambled on some more, and it's already almost 20 minutes again. But I feel like this was important to say. But anyways, let's see. I hope you guys really enjoyed this story. I know it was really rambly. I know it was a little incoherent, but I had a lot to say on this subject, and I probably could have spoke about this for hours, talking about different subjects. If there's anything I brought up that you would like to hear more about, anything that I said that was you didn't like or you particularly liked, let me know, and I will absolutely make a response to that. Because my next video should be more Heathen related. I just all went trans, and this is supposed to be about both my transgender identity and my religion, which is also true, but that didn't happen, and I've been kind of lazy about things in the last few weeks. But I'm finally medicated, and I'm starting to feel better. I'm starting to get into a better place again. So yeah, I think there's gonna be some cool stuff coming up on this channel in the future, and who knows what it could be. It could be anything. This channel's still new. I can bring up all sorts of weird stuff like live streams or discussions, video games. I don't know what you guys like. Let me know. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to check me out on Twitter, by the way. It's mostly for my other channel, but you can still get a hold of me on there at Jedi_Cass. That is the #1 place to get a hold of me, because I don't always get my messages on YouTube. So, I see comments. If you leave a comment on a video, that's not an issue. But if you want to send me a private message, Twitter's a much better place to do it. Anyways, see you later.